Am I the asshole in full for telling my wife the lock on my daughter's door does not get removed until my brother-in-law and his daughters are out of our house? My brother-in-law, Sammy, lost his home about 10 months ago, shortly after his divorce. He had been bouncing between relatives, but eventually no one in the family was willing to take him in long-term. My wife felt guilty and insisted we help, so I agreed to let him move in with us. A few months later, his twin daughters Olivia and Sloane, both 18, also moved into our home. My wife and I have one daughter, Zoe, who is 16. She is quiet, responsible, and careful with her belongings. She and her cousins are not particularly close, but at the beginning they were at least civil. Unfortunately, that did not last long. Not long after Olivia and Sloane moved in, they began entering Zoe's room without knocking or asking. They helped themselves to her makeup, phone accessories, clothes, and even her school-issued laptop. Zoe repeatedly told them to stop and came to me in tears more than once. I spoke to the girls directly and asked them to respect her privacy and stop taking her things without permission. My wife and Sammy both dismissed the issue. They said this was normal teenage behavior, that girls borrow from each other all the time, and that Zoe was being overly sensitive. I strongly disagreed, but tried to handle it calmly, hoping things would improve. They did not. The final straw came when Zoe saved up for over a month to buy herself a $60 MAC makeup kit. It was something she was genuinely proud of and excited about. One day she came to me crying after finding the kit on her bed, completely ruined. One of the twins, Sloane, had taken it without permission and mixed the shades together, making it unusable. Zoe was devastated. When I told my wife what happened, she said she would ask Sloane to apologize and left it at that. Around the same time, I discovered Zoe had started quietly moving her valuable belongings out of the house because she no longer felt safe leaving them in her own room. That was when I decided enough was enough and installed a lock on her bedroom door. Sammy and his daughters were furious when they noticed the lock. Sammy confronted me and insisted his daughters were not thieves, saying it was normal for girls of similar ages to borrow each other's belongings. He told me Zoe could easily replace the makeup with a cheaper $15 kit from Walmart and said she should not be buying expensive adult makeup at her age anyway. He even suggested that my wife correct what he called a defect in Zoe's personality, claiming she was trying too hard to appear older than she was. He accused me of babying Zoe and enabling her behavior. I told him this was an issue between me and my wife. Instead of supporting me, my wife accused me of shaming her nieces by putting a lock on Zoe's door and said I was preventing them from bonding. She demanded that I remove the lock and told me I should treat Olivia and Sloane like my own daughters. I told her the lock would not be removed until her brother and his daughters were no longer living in our house. She became furious and accused me of implying we were going to kick them out, saying her family would hate me for it. I reminded her that I was the one who agreed to take Sammy and his daughters in when her own family refused to do so. If it were not for their unwillingness to help, we would not be dealing with this level of disruption in our home. Now everyone in the house except me and Zoe is giving us the silent treatment. My wife is extremely upset, and the atmosphere at home is tense and uncomfortable. I am standing my ground to protect my daughter, but I am being made to feel like the villain. So am I. The asshole for telling my wife the lock on my daughter's door does not get removed till my brother-in-law and his daughters are out of our house.